How is everybody doing today? This is just James checking in. It's another lovely Thursday out here in California, over here at Franco's compound. Getting ready to have we're really excited for today. We have the living legend, OG. Man has had his hands in everything. Mr. Cartoon. They have the release of their documentary tomorrow. Him and Esteban Oriol, icons in LA street culture, have the release of their documentary, LA Originals, which will be, I think it'll be on Netflix at 8 p.m. It is definitely on Netflix. We are here. Again, we're about to go live and call in Mr. Cartoon in just a moment, but we want to know where you guys are all checking in from, and get those questions ready. We are excited. Franco's going to be joining us here in just a second. And just want to know how you guys are all coping right now with the quarantine. We're on lockdown right now, but you know what? We're fighting like hell to keep things alive, keep these doors open, and keep providing customer service and amazing products for you guys all at home. So we want to thank you guys all for your continued support. We do hope all of your families are staying safe and sane in these creative times that we're in right now. So, Franco. Oh, he'll be here in just a moment. Let's see here. We've got Hesperia. We've got, Tyler, Texas, Danville, Illinois, Indianapolis. So where are you guys all checking in from? We got Brazil. Wolfskin Tattoo, hello, how are you doing, my friend? Ink by Trip, this is the quarantine look these days. Not on the road, so we might as well kind of look a little bummy. Nah, had to get it cleaned up, though. Let's see. Where is everybody else? Mikey, how you doing, brother? Mike, Tattoos 310.
Give him a call.
All right, let's go see if Mr. Cartoon is in. Let's check here. Give us 1 second, guys. Wait for him to join in here. I got multiple phones right here, boss.
Get mine over here.
Hey!
What's happening?
How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm good. I'm alive. Right here in my dungeon.
Staying dry right now, right?
Hell yeah. Let me try to adjust.
How's the weather up there for you guys? Is it pouring? Because it's raining cats and dogs down here in Orange County.
Yeah, it's raining down here, but we need it. So and it matches the times, you know what I mean?
Oh man. You could not say it even that couldn't be more poetic, because it's definitely dark and gloomy out there. But you know what? We're here to brighten everybody's spirits. Cannot tell you, first off, how excited and how honored we are to have you here with us, Tunes.
Hey, same here, bro.
Absolutely. And I know Franco's just tuning in.
What up, homie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Young Franco.
Jeez. We have just been trying to hold it down, man. This is a time, I think, where people either get made or get broken, especially in business, It's been a tough time, but I think sometimes life gets so easy and people get so used to how things are, and they start to get stagnant. And I think that's like a habit for artists, man. Like, some of us, guys like you, are like hungry always. And some of us get stagnant. I know I get stagnant sometimes, but this has been a process for me where I'm hungry. I'm back to being starving.
Yeah. And you know what, dog? I mean, we all get kind of, I don't know, we were in a way, if you think about it, the way we were just going into the streets, going to concerts, going to car shows or whatever. Now we're really going to be grateful for any time that we're able to be in a big group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've been social distancing and isolating myself for about 8 years now.
Yeah.
So,
you got a head start on all of us. The only thing you didn't have is the mask, man. I bet you'll be coming out with some cartoon masks on them. I could already see a crazy clown on the front. But how are you and the family doing during this quarantine? What's the cartoon household looking like right now? How are you guys doing?
We're doing real good. Everyone's healthy, I have, you know, my little compound, so I have a studio completely separated from the pad. So I have like 5 different places I can go and chill here, and it feels a little bit different, you know.
Yeah.
Unlike some of my relatives, you know, live in apartments, you know, that they're not able to go do that shit, you know. But we are grateful to have been working on kind of my home studio. I've always had some kind of home studio. Even when I have a public studio, I have somewhere where I go and, you know, paint and do my shit. So it kind of feels normal to me because I'm always locked in my studio. They just slide food under the door and some weed here and there, and, you know.
Man,
but I am blown away as far as like the world of tattooing. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have to be with people opened up, not only next to somebody spitting on you, but someone leaking on, you know what I'm saying? Like with their bloodborne pathogens floating around.
Yeah.
We're going to have to rethink all this shit, man. You know, I mean, we've always, you know, as professional tattooers, we take bloodborne pathogen tests, and we understand cross-contamination and these things. But now the world is going to have to understand that. And we're going to have to take it up to a next level of cleanliness.
I mean, I'm tripping out on like restaurants and things that we took for granted before, places we went to. It's like, man, we don't know where people's mouths has been. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm thinking of the doorknob to the bathroom at Starbucks.
Fuck
like,
yeah,
what degenerate scumbag bum was jacking off in his tent, and he came all over his hand, and then he had an itchy ass on the way to the Starbucks, and he dug in his ass and cleaned that out, and then he grabbed that door handle, and then I grabbed the door handle, and then like scratched my nose, and now I got the flu and shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly, you just described the transmission of diseases right there, my brother. What kind of projects were you working on before this shit happened? Are you still working on them? And what are you allowed to talk about? Like, besides, we're going to get into the Netflix documentary here soon, but besides that, what kind of projects were you getting into?
Well, you know, they put one of my lowriders on a ship. It was at the docks in San Pedro to be loaded on a ship to take it to Hong Kong to be in an art show, to be in Art Basel in Hong Kong. So I had my airplane tickets, everything. I was supposed to be in China, bro, you know? And since I was going to be in Hong Kong, I was going to slide into Beijing and Shanghai and pick up those bags they have waiting over there. But I found out there's something else in them bags now other than money. You know
they're inside the bags. They're outside the bags. They're giving you the bags. And man, speaking of that, man, we had a great time. We had a great time in Beijing.
That was
I say that trip was like once in a lifetime. I know that everybody in the crew, man. We had Jack Rudy, Steve Soto, David Vega, me.
Yeah.
Who else did we have out there? That was a crew right there.
We just had David Vega on the other day, and he says that was by far one of the most memorable trips. The time that he got a chance to meet and hang out with you as well as Jack Rudy, he's like, dude, those guys are the best. I felt the same way. I was just as like hyped. You know, these kids, man, especially like David, he's a phenom, man. That shit is mind blowing to even see that. And Jack was that to us, you know, like still is, but he was that portrait guy. We're like, damn, he didn't even use a line. Like, it was crazy, but
that was some good dynamic over there for sure, man. Like, you know, speaking of all that stuff, like, has your business been affected, or like your tattooing?
Well, I completely paused that.
Okay.
Before this happened, just because I had a bunch of murals and apparel stuff to do. It just timed perfect for me. But yeah, tattooing was definitely put on a pause. And you know, people are bored during this shit. They're hitting me up like, "What's up? What's up?"
Hey, I was trying to get in with you too.
You were.
Hey, look, man. Hey, getting a cartoon tattoo is worth taking a chance of getting COVID. Straight up. You guys can talk about it, but I'll take that risk.
That's great, man. Hey, but yeah, I mean, they won't. You know, I'm locked in my castle, dog. You know, like I figure if we could just wait this out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my idea for the new shop. Like, you have an appointment. He shows up that day with his COVID negative test. And then I have my negative test. And then you take your temperature at the fucking door and then come on in, bro. And, then,
and have somebody else doing all that, right?
But you know what? I'll tell you, man, the sterilization level is going to go way up. Like, I'm going to wear like a fucking hazmat suit.
I mean, what's cool about tattoo artists is we were already many levels above the common folk, right? Like we were right there with nurses in terms of like sterility. At least we're supposed to, right? And so
yeah.
I think, you know, it's funny. Like, you know, we've been to China. You've been to Asia several times, and you know, I was recently in Japan, and you know, so many people had masks on, and look, there was a part of me that was kind of like snickering about that. Like, what the fuck does they have the mask on for?
Oh.
Because they've been through this shit before. So I have a feeling that a lot of Americans and tattoo artists, I mean, I know I'm probably going to start wearing some kind of mask. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely going to wear that. Not only am I going to wear a mask, but I'm going to wear one of them fucking clear face shields.
I'm even going to put a condom on. I mean, like, I'm protecting everything.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do that and wear long sleeves. And I'm going to give the customers some headphones with the little condoms on the headphone things and let them space out. And no more like lunch break or anything. I'm just going to like bam all the way through and it's done, Holmes, you know?
Yeah. So before we get into the documentary, I want to talk about how you influenced Chicano tattooing. But before I even get into that, because you've been asked that question at least 1,000 times, right? But there's a lot of people that don't know. Me and you have talked about this before. It's like, I call it the circle theory. Like, there's a small ring of people that know who you are and what you've done. Then outside of that ring is a bigger ring, and they kind of know who you are and what you've done. But then the newbies, they just look at it like, oh, cartoon. Yeah, I think I've heard of him before. And so, like, our foundation and our reach with Bishop is most of the newbies, right? Because they're the ones that are technically savvy. So, you know, we'll ask some questions that you've answered before, but a lot of people think, oh, cartoon, yeah, he's that dope dude that influenced Chicano tattooing. And of course that's true. But I want to talk about something else that a lot of people don't talk about is, I say I won't even group you in that category because that's the obvious. But you've actually influenced tattooing in fucking general. And what I mean by that is, when you were tattooing Beyonce and all these people, right? Like, you had your style of black and gray, but you went outside of that and you would give Beyonce what she wanted. You would give Kobe what he wanted. And that made other people want to get tattooed. And they might not get a Chicano style piece, but they saw all their favorite basketball players and musicians getting tattooed. So they went to William down the street and got a dragon, or they went to somebody else and got some piece. You open the door to get people to even want to get tattooed. So I wanted to just touch on that, but let's talk about your influence and what are some of your thoughts on how your style influenced that world in general?
For sure. Thanks for that question. Where do you start? You know, when me and Esteban started having our studio downtown, like, that was our idea to legitimize ourselves, was a loft in downtown, tattooing out of there. And we just, it's like a snowball going down the street. One thing happened to the next. This guy calls you, hey, let's do it. You know, back then, Pharrell wanted a tattoo. I'll go pick him up at his hotel. I'm not gonna wait for him to get in the car and smoke a joint, get stuck at the Beverly Center and not show up and shit. I picked up 50 Cent from his hotel, you know? So it's being aggressive in that way, and it's just being prepared for opportunity, you know what I'm saying? And Chicano style tattoo, it's just the way I draw, right? The way that we've been submersed in since we were kids. So people love our script, you know what I mean? They see the script and they're just automatically attracted to that. So I think when people seen 50 Cent with his back piece, they seen that Chicano style, fine line, and some bullshit, like an eye buster, like someone that just got out the pen and had their neighborhood blasted. I mean, that stuff was started in the street. I just kind of put it into that mainstream, but my intentions were that, you know, of just a homie doing it, but it ended up going like on the cover of all these crazy music magazines and all. So it's surreal to see that shit, because I'm just like all the other tattooers in their studio trying to do a good tattoo, and it's crazy when it ends up that far. But
tell us the story about 50 Cent and the cops and stuff. Like, so I've gotten to hang with you, so you know I've heard these fun stories that I think the tattoo world would want to hear. Tell us about that story.
Well, yeah. So he told me, hey man, I want to get a tattoo. He had come over to my studio because I tattooed like Lloyd Banks. I had tattooed his producers, and he wanted me to tattoo his arm. And I go, you know what, man? No disrespect. I'll tattoo your back, a back piece or nothing.
You told him what?
He looked at me and he was like, I don't. He goes, but I don't want a back piece. I go, but you need a back piece. And he goes, he looked at me and goes, I'm cool. And I was like, damn. I was swinging for the fences, but he said no. And he left. And I was like, I go, you know what, though? It's true, because he had a bunch of tattoos when he was a kid, dog. They weren't the best. I didn't want to be like my kid kicking with all those ugly stepchildren. You know what I mean? So he came back with this boy, Sean Money, XL, that was getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
And he came and he goes, okay, I'm ready to do my back. So I planted a seed in his head, but I gambled of losing an A-list rapper, right? Because a lot of times when you have them there, you don't want them to leave without a tattoo, right?
Yep. You took that chance.
But I knew he needed a back piece, and when he said yeah, I said, cool, I'm on my way to pick you up. That's when you could pick up 50 Cent, right, by himself and shit. But his first album was ready to drop, but those mixtapes were out, and that shit was all over the streets. And I got, like, my homeboy in New York, Gabi and Nels, Puerto Rican kids, that they put me up on all the latest shit. And long story short, I got him in the shop. I drew that giant-ass 5-0 on his back, and I put Southside, because he's from Southside, Jamaica, Queens. Yep. And some of the homies were like, what's up, Holmes? Why you put Southside? I was like, nah, fool, that's motherfucker from New York, man.
There's other Southsides.
But, so he got that. He just outlined it. And if he would have walked out that day, I would have been cool. But he goes, man, I want to collage the inside of the letters. I go,
nice.
I go, cool. I go, come back tomorrow. And he goes, all right. And then he came back the next day. Unbelievably, he came back, because a lot of times they never make it back, right? And I started the tattoo. I got halfway through, and he was on the phone. You know, fools are on the phone when they get a tattoo. They never sit still. He goes, I'll shorten the story up, Holmes. Tune, I got to be back. I got to go sign some paperwork with Jimmy Iovine. He splits halfway through the tattoo. Comes back 6 hours later, dog. Oh. And me and Esteban were eating down the street. So he hits me and he goes, hey, I'm at your shop. Where are you at? Jump in the truck, go back to the shop. Sheriffs follow us.
Oh, shit.
Pull us over in front of the shop. An hour and a half looking through my truck to try to find some shit, because a cop had got run over. Long story short, they tell 50 Cent, hey, get out of here. He goes, fuck you, I got half a tattoo. He goes, that's my tattoo artist you're fucking with right there.
Yeah.
But they didn't find shit. We had a Glock in that motherfucker, but they never found it and shit. And I was like, damn, I'm going to jail too?
Hey, you never know, man. His back piece might have never gotten done, because, you know, those celebrities, they're frisky, man. They disappear sometimes.
Yeah, normally you don't want someone to split. You never want someone to split during a tattoo.
Yeah.
But, yeah, unfortunately he came back, and the rest is history. But there's a lot of false rumors that he got it lasered off, because there was a thing that 50 Cent gets tattoos lasered. But I sent him to the laser guy. He got his arms lasered off.
Yeah, yeah,
because he
yeah.
was doing movies and he kept his back piece.
Yeah, that back piece is there to stay, man. It's a legendary piece right there. I remember talking to you, speaking about tattoos and script and like the style of script out there. And like, man, like I remember, I mean, I've been tatting for 27 years. You've been tatting for a long time. A quick little history of you and me, man. Like I took over your spot. I told you this story a bunch of times, man. I got to take over your spot at LA Tattoo back in the days when it was Baby Ray and Double D, Mike Aaron Dane, and you had just went to Bob Roberts' studio, and that was like my first LA shop was actually in Hollywood, in Huntington Park, and then from there I went to the spot in Hollywood. But I remember it was like Double D called me up, and he's like, "Hey, dude, Cartoon just left. I got a spot open for you. You're gonna take Cartoon's spot," and it's funny because it's a story of life. Like a lot of people have followed.
Crazy.
A lot of people have followed in your footsteps, including me. Right? Like I remember when you were doing like the folders in high school, and I got one, and I remember tracing the dragon you did. Remember that long dragon on the yellow folder? The clown. I must have tattooed that because I started tattooing in high school, and so I was tattooing that folder you did with the dragon, with the girl in the hat. I still remember the clown face. I must have did that on like 10, 15 people in the 12th grade, right?
Wow.
Like so me and Cartoon go way back before I got a chance to even meet you. But I love our conversations because we go deep, especially when we talk about aliens, and especially when Jack Rudy's in the house. But
he's the master alien.
One of the conversations we had that's worthy of sharing with the world is we were talking about script and how it has to be balanced and how much math is actually involved in pulling script off. What kind of advice can you give to these guys out there and these girls out there that want to become like lettering masters in terms of the science behind it?
Yeah, lettering is something that took off on its own. I mean, who would ever think that there would be artists that just did script? I mean, that's a beautiful thing. It really did take flight. I mean, Jack Rudy was probably, and Freddie Negretti were probably the early influences of what that should look like, you know. I went to sign school at LA Trade Tech, and I took a sign painting course. So that helped me a lot with the widths of letters, the tilting of letters, and spacing of letters and composition. So a lot of script comes down to composition, you know. For me, to me, it's more important to do a simple script name than it is one with all kinds of wild shit on it. Like, I'd rather see one real simple and balanced and readable than it's like a wild style graffiti piece where it's real spaz, you know. And there's high, you know, a wild style, a simple letter and a throw up. You know what I mean? That's
yeah.
I'm a graph writer in my head. You know, being a writer growing up, I tend to look at things that way. But my advice to everyone that's still starting out: notice sign painters. Pay attention to signs on a body shop or signage like that. And if you can do Helvetica, then you'll be a real good script artist. Because a lot of times people get stuck on script and then their other letters are a little weaker. You know what I mean? So if you got script down, move on to Old English, move on to Helvetica, move on to Roman letters and these type of things.
Yep. And you know what's cool about that too? Like guys like BJ Betts, he just chimed in. He said, "Pay attention."
Yeah.
Man, I hope you guys are paying attention. All you guys who do lettering out there, I hope you paid attention to what he just said, because there is a science behind it. I mean, I remember, you know, Noah, our good friend Noah, he taught me how to airbrush back like 20 years ago. Back then I was fucking up my nice black and gray, you know, airbrushes. I would fuck it up with using too much white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't overdo it. And in the same way, man, I see these dudes doing script, and you can tell that they have the foundation, but they overdo it, and it ends up looking fucking weird. What can you say about people that overdo it and you know, and that whole tendency to want to overdo that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like wearing every watch you have at the same time, or all your chains, You know, it's ODing on something good, right? We all do it. We've all done it, but less is more. You know, if you could put just a hint where it's seen, but it's not noticed. That's the what you want, to where it feels more natural.
Yeah. That's some good advice right there, man. So all you guys that are overdoing your script, man, pull back. You know.
Yeah, it's okay. It's gonna be all right. Just try to calm down. You know, take it easy.
Yep. Hey, what's up? Big Bobby says, "What's up, Big Bobby?"
All right,
we got a bunch of people. We got a bunch of people checking in. BJ Betts, thanks for saying hello. We've got
BJ Betts.
We've got people tuning in from around the world, you guys, and we have Mr. Cartoon right here getting ready to talk about some fun stuff. Go ahead.
Gather your questions, everybody. We're gonna run through a couple more topics over here, and then we're gonna hit some questions and talk about the documentary. Everyone knows you got a celebrity influence, so I don't even need to come and ask you that. Everyone knows you're celebrity. You've been tattooing celebrities way before most of us. You were like one of the only tattoo artists back in the days that did celebrities. You got Mark Mahoney, and you had Gil the Drill, and
those were the first guys. Sure.
Yeah, very few people were really attacking tattooing celebrities, and you were like the dude, man. It's like you were the dude in Hollywood that like Jay-Z would tell Beyonce and Beyonce would tell Kardashian. Like it was always just your name, right? And then you fast forward now, there's a bunch of people that are badass that are tattoo celebrities. So how does it feel to have been one of the first, and how was it back then when you kind of had the whole world to yourself almost?
Yeah, that's a good one. Of course, Gil the Drill and Mark Mahoney and Baby Ray, these guys were in Hollywood, you know what I mean? So they had action as celebrities. They were on, Hollywood. I mean, on Sunset Boulevard, Baby Ray was slaying them on Hollywood, And but they were tattooing a lot of actors and rock guys.
Yeah.
Hip hop and tattooing hadn't connected yet. I remember I was at Spotlight Tattoo because I used to hang out with Charlie Roberts, who's a friend and who I learned a lot of tattooing from, other than Baby Ray. I looked over Charlie's shoulder to see how that shit was done.
Yeah.
And I remember his dad had some crazy country music on, man. It was like it was like outlaw country music, and might have had the N-word in there in a negative way here and there. And I had Method Man on his way over to get tattooed. Yes. So I was like, I got the Wu-Tang on the way. I got some crazy hillbilly music on right now. How am I going to change that shit? So I think I moved it to Led Zeppelin, and then I got it to like rap or some shit. I had to do the trickle down. But anyways, from there, I had to sneak in Pharrell just because he had a pink shirt on. He had a pink Lacoste. And I didn't want Baby Ray to molest him, you know what I mean? And talk shit and embarrass the guy.
Which he would have definitely said something.
He did, matter of fact. Me and Estevan, Estevan's a big dude, and I stood next to him, and we tried to build a wall for Pharrell to walk behind, and he walked behind us, and Baby Ray's got like a fucking radar, and he wasn't even looking, Holmes. He was like this, drawing, and goes, "Wait a minute, Holmes. That's a beautiful blouse you have on."
Pharrell. That's too funny.
He shit on Pharrell, and I was like, man. But it was funny. So I got him out of there. He was good. I tattooed him. And that's when the ball started rolling as far as us understanding that when you tattoo a celebrity, you get press.
Yep.
So it wasn't so much that we were seeking out to do that, but I had Esteban, unfortunately, going to concerts, going to shows, and he'd walk up to, Nas or someone and be like, "Hey, man, let me see your tattoos. Hey, nice work. You should get one from Cartoon." And they'd be like, "Who's Cartoon?" And be like, "Check this out." Or, show him something. Oh, he just did Justin Timberlake or something. He'd tell him a name. And he would get him to the shop, So it was, the thing is, though, is that they started to get tattoos with hip hop elements.
Yeah.
And being that I was a writer, I knew what they wanted to see. So I took a script name that normally fit on, you know, we get script names like right on our arm right here. Took it from being this big to blowing it up on these fools' forearms.
Yeah.
And they started taking pictures like this with it.
Yeah.
And that was probably like 90, 96 or some shit like that, 97. Did we start figuring out to blow everything up. Instead of doing a little itty-bitty, it's so hard to do, itty-bitty clown face, blow that shit up the whole arm, you know? So I think that's when that started. And I treated it more like how a writer would do a character on a subway car that, you know.
Yeah, you started that, man. Like you connected the dots between tattooing and hip hop culture. I mean, you've tattooed besides the obvious, you know, Eminem, 50 Cent, Method Man. Who else in hip hop have you tattooed?
Wow, I mean, Cypress Hill, of course, was one of our first crew of friends that let me tattoo them. And they were like the first, you know, platinum rappers I had tattooed. And then, so they had so much love from people like Tretch from Naughty by Nature. King got huge shit on his back. The Goody Mob, you know, Big Boy from Outkast. There's a thing in the movie where Proof has his tattoo. You can see all the D12s.
Damn.
You know, but Little Rob, like, you know, for every element from everywhere, you know. And we've also tattooed like a bunch of European rappers and people that are big in other places, you know, that people will probably here will never see them. But now that hip hop is kind of caught up, there's a formula. The same way I was able to look at Jack Rudy's formula and I was able to look at Freddie and Mark Mahoney and these guys. You know, Mark Mahoney was the first guy like pulling up in an old school car with wing tips on, dressed to impress, do a whole tattoo like in a suit and shit. And you're like, wow, man, that's the shit right there. You're like seeing that fool do that type of shit. And a Boston, we had never heard a Boston accent before and shit. You know what I mean? But on TV. And so, I mean, those guys inspired us. Hopefully the same way we inspire these youngsters that are coming up. And, you know, this movie is a perfect time to reintroduce us to these kids and to the public, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So every 10 years, you got to reintroduce yourself. You can't take it for granted that everyone knows who you are and they love your shit. People might be thinking, I'm biting some of these youngsters that are using my shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what I mean by the rings. Yeah,
ain't life a
like,
motherfucker.
Like, you know what I mean? That's why I always take it back to the ring concept. Like, you know, the inner ring, the intermediate ring, the outer ring. This Netflix is going to reach the outer ring and everything in between. So let's get into the documentary. I know James got a question here.
Man, no, that's actually, you just hit it right on the head, because I remember that conversation when you were talking about how you're able to stay cultural relevant for so many years and over so many decades, and you keep transforming and you keep like the evolution of cartoon, you just keep taking it to that next step and that next step. And just when you think you're like, oh yeah, I've heard of him, bam, this thing drops.
And that's like reminds us, I always relate tattooing to music, right? Like, yeah, you might drop a hit song, like you might tattoo like one of the Kardashians, somebody else, right? And then they never do anything else, right? So you're kind of equal to like a Led Zeppelin or like a big band, like a Rolling Stones. It's continuous hit after hit, not just for 2-3 years, but not even for one decade. We're talking 2, 3, 4 decades. Like you're a Jimi Hendrix.
Thank you.
People think that.
Now I got an OD and shit.
No, let's not.
As long as it's on art, but like what James is saying is like you're continuing to stay relevant, and now here comes this documentary, right? And I'm a storyteller at the end of the day, right? And we're all storytellers as tattoo artists. But one of the things about this interview and sharing your story on our platform, it goes back to my inner passion where, and Esteban knows this, I get mad when people don't know who people are. I get pissed off. Like if they don't know who Jack Rudy is and they do black and gray, I'm tempted to hit them. Like I get angry.
Yeah,
right? And
it's
I
a
say that
history lesson.
I say that joking around, but I'm really not. Like, you know, it's like, come on, dude. Like, if you're gonna get into the game, you know, you got to know who people are, and you've done a good job of letting people know who you are. But tell us about this documentary. What's it about? What can people expect to watch? Our brother Esteban, like you two were like simultaneous. I love both of you guys dearly. What can we expect?
Well, thank you, man. That's real kind words you said there. I mean, it's you mirror yourself after people, right? You look at those like those great names that you said, and all we can really do is, without knowing them personally, is we can mirror them and the things that we see working in their lives. So that's what I did a lot. I watched people that I looked up to, and I tried to mimic some of the shit, even if they weren't artists, you know,
Yeah.
things that they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so now with this movie, you get to kind of see a lot of old school footage. Like, you're going to see a lot of footage before the internet was out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people joke about that, but there wasn't this option. This what we were doing right here was either television, like major television, or it was a book or it was a magazine. So I was told, I remember the first week I met Esteban, he told me, any interview you can do it. Small, big, just do it. And I never forgot that shit. I remind myself to this day, because sometimes you're not in the mood to do that shit.
Yeah.
It might be for some kid's high school project or some shit, or it might
Yeah.
be like you got to go in front of a studio audience.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
fucking tattoo artist, dog. What the fuck do I know about speaking in front of 2,000 people or some shit?
Yeah.
But I've been to enough fucking 12-step meetings to know how to stand in front of a fucking crowd and speak, you know. So if I got anything out of that, I got that public speaking skills. But
Hey, you're good at it,
take
man.
what you can, you know, from something that could be a negative, and you turn it to a positive. But this movie's a lot about me and Esteban hanging out, and him just picking up that camera and going like that, and you just kind of filming the nutty shit when no one at now everyone's got a fucking beautiful camera on their phone.
Yeah.
Everyone's filming. It makes me nauseous to see. I can't even go to a concert. Well, those are finished, but with everyone holding their fucking goddamn phone up, you know, like they're not even watching the show, and they're not gonna go home and edit any of that shit. No one's gonna see that blurry ass footage. But anyways, so this footage you're seeing it's pretty innocent, man, of a time when we had no idea all this was coming. You know, like the wave of black and gray master tattoo artists that were about to come that are fucking 22 years old and been tattooing for a year. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers. I'm glad I got in when I got in. God damn, these motherfuckers are good. But hey, Holmes, it is what it is. It'll never be the same. Hip hop and tattooing have been collided, and it's not going to go back. So this movie shows a lot of that. It shows cars, graffiti culture, low riding. Everything's kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, someone told me the other day. I think it was on. Maybe you saw. It was on a comment, and this guy was from like Africa, small. You know, he wasn't from Zimbabwe, or he wasn't from a big city, but he was like, cartoon's so big that he's made its way into the crevices of the world. The people have never even heard of my city before.
That's crazy.
And we're naming shops after like Chicano. So it's a crazy thing to think about. Like, and that's what I kind of paint the picture to people when I talk about you and Esteban. It's like we're like living with Rembrandt and Caravaggio. We're living with Michelangelo and fucking like. I want people to realize that, because like what you guys have done for the tattoo industry, and you in particular, of just, you know, putting out this style that has been, I mean, it's like I'm going to call you COVID-19 because you've infected the fucking world. Cartoon 19. Cartoon 19. But like, let me touch a little bit on Esteban. Esteban to me is like, he's kind of like this mysterious visionary. You know, he won't, he's a man of a few words, but like he studies the crowd. He's watching the front, back, side to side. So
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little about his visionary spirit. Like when he would say things like, "Go talk to that dude. Hey, you need to get a tattoo by Cartoon." I've always appreciated that part of Esteban, because when I traveled with him, when we were in Italy once, and he was doing that stuff to me. Hey, you got to go talk to that dude. Hey, see that guy right there? I'm gonna go shoot him real quick, and I'm gonna go ahead and put him over here with you. What do you think about that visionary side of Esteban? Because it's peculiar and it's very rare and it's a gift.
Yeah, I think that you're right on the money. He has a good eye for talent. He's able to see people that got that shit before everyone else could see it. You know what I'm saying? He might even be able to recognize the motherfucker with the vids, you know, with the Rona, because he's able to see shit. Like, I kind of just trust his
instinct. He's got
instinct when he's like, I'm gonna take a picture of this motherfucker, and then they blow the fuck up, and there's these giant stars. He has pictures of them when they were first starting out.
Yeah.
A lot of that shit.
Yeah.
But he goes beyond that. Like, he knows which restaurant to go. He knows who to call in every city around the world. And I think it's due to the touring with Cypress Hill and House of Pain.
Yeah.
He was able to meet all these, like, who's the head of the city. Like, if you go into France, you need to call this motherfucker. If you go to here, you know.
That's true.
And before I forget, I like that interview with Mako. That shit was tight.
Oh, thank you, brother. Mako loves you, my man.
Man.
He's always gives you the props you deserve, man.
Yeah, he's out of this world, man, with that shit.
He's holding it down with that style in Italy, and he's always gives you the props. You know, he's like, man, this is where I got it. You know, it's funny you say that about it's funny you say that about Esteban, because a funny little story to tie that in. We're in Florence walking around after a convention one night, starving. Everyone's closed. You know, we found this restaurant that they like barely opened for us, right? Like the first guy told us no. The next thing you know, this girl runs out like, no, we'll serve you. We'll turn the kitchen back on. And then here comes then Esteban's like, hey, you know what? My publisher's right down the street. I'm gonna give him a call and have him go. Like, he's connected.
Take you hostage.
He's connected everywhere. So we're looking forward to this documentary. We're going to get into some of the questions because we got a lot of questions.
Keep going.
James is going to look for some questions. Let's touch base on our dear brother Kobe Bryant, man. Rest in peace. I know a lot of people are asking, and a lot of people know you tattooed him. Let it be known, like, you guys weren't just client and tattoo art. He was your friend. You guys did business together.
Yeah, man, what a tragedy, you know. I started off just by doing logos for him. You know, him and Vanessa were doing apparel and stuff like that. And he has a lot of experience, you know, with Nike and doing all that shit. But he came over, just him and her, kicked it at the studio. And they even got kind of in a lightweight argument over the art and shit. And I was like, you can have all the millions in the world, and your old lady's still going to give you a hard time. You know what I mean?
That's the damn truth.
It don't matter who you are. You know, you're going to get a hard time here and there. But
hate that.
But yeah, it was cool just to see that they were like us. You know what I mean? They were normal people. And, you know, she grew up in Orange County, and he was really down to earth, man. And I don't know, we got along with him real cool. And then he started to come get his daughter's names. And, you know, when someone comes to get a tattoo, they're there for a few hours, you know. He was always on a schedule. He was there for like 2 hours, and he had to be gone.
Lucky you didn't get that.
Yeah, when he was there, he was relaxed, no security, talked about the kids, talked about bullshit, telling stories, and that was really the dopest part about him. And even if you've met him once, you felt like you knew him forever. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Like, he recognized some of the guys that would hang out in my shop. They'd see him out in public somewhere. What's up, man? And he'd pause and he'd be like, cartoon shop, huh? And then they'd be like, yeah, what's up, man? So, like, homeboy had a photogenic memory. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'll tell you the funny story for the audience to hear. This is what Kobe Bryant meant to you, man. I live 20 minutes down the street from the guy, and I was lucky enough to run into him at the Starbucks, and you know, it's like there's rules with celebrities. We know the rules. You don't walk up to a celebrity, right? And so I've always stuck by those rules. But in this case, man, like,
sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to do
it. Well, you were in the back of my pocket. So when I walked up to him, man, he gave me that look like, come on, man, like I'm just trying to get a fucking coffee. And this is at Newport Beach, and he always goes to this particular Starbucks. He used to go to the Starbucks, and I said, hey, what's up, man? I said my homie Cartoon does your tattoos, man. He went from mad dogging me to he stood up, brought me in, gave me a hug, looked at me, held onto my hand for a split second, and did a finger snap. And he goes, Cartoon's your homie? I go, man, he's a big homie of mine. I said, we do business together. And he starts talking to me for about 5 minutes.
Dope.
And then he goes, I go, you know the machines? And I'm starstruck because I'm a big fan, right? And so I said, those machines he uses, man, I make those for Cartoon. And he goes, what? He goes, man, I tell Cartoon that's like jewelry. That's like getting tattooed by jewelry. And I took that home. That's my Kobe Bryant like piece in my heart that I wear forever. But it was cool to see, like, I mean, look, everybody respects Kobe Bryant. Everybody is like, oh my God. But to see him respect you, man, I was just proud to be your friend. I was like, man, this guy was just like, he was treating that conversation as if you were Kobe Bryant.
Damn. I mean, that's crazy, man. I mean, he had that thing about him where he was down to earth like that. You know, that's a great loss, man, to that guy too.
Big time.
Makes me question a lot of shit, man, when I see that guy die and I see Donald Trump will probably live forever and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit makes me mad as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Same here, man. The good die young, man. But we won't get too deep into that rabbit hole, man. But we love Kobe.
Yeah, man. For sure.
You know what? Somebody wants to know the story about Eazy-E, and you go into his house.
Yeah, I talked about it, I think, on the No Jumper. It was, everyone knew my parents had moved out of Pedro because it was getting too wild in San Pedro. And they just had an opportunity, so they moved to the exotic city of Norwalk. And
shout out to Big Bobby.
Shout out to Big B, the mayor of Norwalk.
Bobby.
But everyone knew that he lived in this fucking house, right? Right off by the 105 and the 605. He lived in this little pocket. And I rolled up there, and when you would drive by there, you'd always see, like, Mercedes. You see fucking whatever was a brand new car at that time. Homeboy had it in the driveway. But you never see anybody hanging outside, but you always see like fixed up cars. You know, I like the same way you kind of just hit up Kobe. That's how I hit up dude. I had seen him one other time at a car wash, and I handed him my business card, and my hand was shaking so hard that Eazy-E was standing in front of me that I couldn't even give him the card right with my shit fucking. And that tortured me because now I know that he forgot and didn't give a fuck and didn't even notice that shit. But when you're doing it, you think, oh my God, I fucked up. I look stupid. You know?
Yeah.
None of that shit matters. The main thing is that I did extend my, like, closed mouths don't get fed, so they say, right?
Yes, all the time.
It's the guy that hits on every girl and doesn't worry about getting shot down. He's the one that gets the girl. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same type of concept. And now I joked that I basically said it looked like I was stalking him. And I knocked on his fucking front door. Like if some sicko kid with a lowrider knocked on my front fucking door. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck out of here, man. Nah, but.
That's funny. And Eazy-E was a huge legend. I mean, at the time that you're knocking on his door, a lot of these youngsters don't know this. But when you were knocking on Eazy's door, fuck, man, compare that to somebody now. Like, that's like knocking on, like, I mean, that's like knocking on Eminem's door.
Yeah, like if you don't, like, you knew where Schoolboy Q lived, and you just want to, or like Kendrick Lamar and shit, and you're going to, like, roll up on him. But, you know, I guess it's the same as handing, like, someone your mixtape, right? That's how a lot of fools, they would catch him coming out of a club, and they'll hand him a tape. And it's whether he listened to it. But what I did when I knocked on Eazy's door, these two twin 6'4", 400-pound Samoans answered the fucking door, dog.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey, what's up, man? Is Easy home?" And they were like, "Who are you?" And I go, "My name's Cartoon. I do meals." They're like, "Hold on." I was like, "Damn." I got halfway through my pitch, and he came to the door and goes, "What's up, man?" I go, "What's up, man? My name's Cartoon. I do airbrush. I do logos." And I go, "I just did this." And I had Kid Frost's album cover that I had did.
I remember
it was
that
63, one. Like scraping down the street. And he looked at it, he goes, "Oh, you did that shit?" He goes, "That's tight." He goes, "What else you do?" And I go, "I have my car with the mural parked in the front." And he walked over, he looked at the hood of my car, and he goes, "All right, here's my number." And he gave me like 10 jobs after that shit.
Damn.
Oh,
so that was like the internet back then, you know what I mean?
That album cover was you showing him the Instagram of today.
That album cover was like, shout out to Kid Frost. It was one of the first like legitimate. Frost was on Virgin Records. They were making billboards of that shit on Sunset. There was this place, a building, and they were called record stores, right?
I remember
where young people used to wait till midnight to go get Jay-Z or fucking Tupac's album and shit, you know?
Oh, man. That is the truth, man. Well, let's get into a couple of little shout-outs to some people checking in. Dino Cook, man. Dino Cook, what's up, brother? Dino's old school.
We got Travis Barker just checked in earlier.
What's up, Travis? Shout out to Travis.
Yeah.
That's our brother.
Hell yeah.
Man. So let's talk a little bit about machines, man. We're fortunate enough to have done a machine with you, and big shout out to anybody that's got a machine before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were one of the lucky few to get, a Cartoon Michelangelo collaboration machine, keep it. Sometimes I see them on eBay. I've seen them go for like $2,500, $3,000. This is nothing new.
People are slanging them.
Yeah, this is nothing new to you, though. I mean, I've seen some of your shoes go for quite a pretty coin, but
that's crazy.
Let's talk a little bit about that collaboration, man. I was grateful to do it with you, and of course we got some other collaborations coming up we might touch on. But let's touch base a little bit on the machine project, and what's your favorite machine you're using now? I know we've thrown all kinds of machines at you, but what kind of groupings are you? What groupings are you? People want to know what kind of groupings you're using. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I just remember how I think we have it good right now. You know what I'm saying? The tattoo community has it really good to have all these luxurious tattoo machines to use, and the equipment and things are one-off and sanitary. I mean, I remember when I started out, I thought I couldn't understand why Mexicans use one style of tattoo machine and that was made out of a cassette motor and had like duct tape on it. And it looked like it was is that a big pen in there? And a fucking guitar string and shit. And then like the biker crowd had like coil machines and shit. I was like, well, how come we can't use those type of machines? They're like, nah, that's for them. There was the homies didn't use professional machines.
Nope.
And it was almost kind of like selling out to use one, or if you, let's put it this way, if you weren't in a jail cell getting the shit in the first place, if you weren't sitting locked down, then you didn't even deserve that shit, is how people looked at it.
Yep.
So that always kind of tripped me out, because I was already in my early 20s a professional artist, meaning that I was I didn't have any other job but art. That's the only job I've ever had. Yeah. And I'm not saying it to brag, because it's
all you know.
A lot of times you can go with no money, you know what I'm saying? Because trying to sell a concept out of your head, or trying to sell art is difficult, or trying to convince someone that they need this shit. You need this. You have to have this. Yeah. And so going from that world where we couldn't even purchase one, like, you had to get okayed and be a professional tattooer already to even buy a tattoo. And the owner of the shop would have to call up the builder and be like, hey, there's this kid named Cartoon. He wants to get a machine, like, and then you had to buy one liner, one shader. So you had to have your
mess.
chips ready, and
It
you had to learn make needles, and it was like it was a lot involved, man. And
yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people know how hard it was to get your hands on a quality tattoo machine.
It was very hard. There was a lot of rules back then, you know, that don't apply now. Listen to this real quick. We got 5 more minutes before Instagram will not allow us to keep it.
Let's call
rolling.
Let's call it 3.
So
okay.
So
let me.
What kind of machines are you? What style, Bishop, are you using? What kind of grouping needles are you using right now?
So like with wands, you know, I mean with the wand now, I've been using that, just training myself to go from having this heavy piece of machinery, which machines are beautiful, but being tattooing to a big like Sharpie, you know what I'm saying? So the closer you can get to like that Sharpie feel is the best. So I've been aligning with that, and then I use my cartoon machine to shade. I still do like tight 3s all the time, but sometimes I'll do like a script name and say a tight 7, and then I'll go back in with the tight 3 for the drop shadow. A lot of the shit I'll grab a Sharpie and just draw it on there. I mean, it really matters. Like when we were in China, I didn't have any tattoo. I did the whole tour with the Sharpie.
Freestyle. You know? You're a freestyle master. That's what I think that's what people need to know if they don't already know. You're a freestyle master.
Well, it's a style, you know.
It's a style that people don't know. A lot of people don't know how to do, you know.
Well, with the world of so much, and you know, I use nocturnal ink, man. It stays in, it lasts. So that's all I use, Holmes. Is Bishop and nocturnal, you know.
We'll talk about that next time too. We got you guys stay tuned for a nocturnal Mr. Cartoon collaboration going down. Just as a reminder, Nocturnal was started by myself and Jack Rudy, OG Jack Rudy. Together, we got over 60 years of combined tattoo experience. Big shout out to OG Lefke, who's checking in. He's our dear brother. Big time. OG Lefke, Soul Assassins, everyone for the documentary. Our brother Esteban.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and let James close it out.
First off, dude, just thank you so much for your time today.
We're so
honored to have you out here with us, and hopefully, God willing, we're able to make it out to London this year.
We got it.
So,
we got to do
it.
Stay tuned on that. But on that note, Cartoon, again, thank you for your time, sir. Everybody, thank you for tuning in tomorrow. We've got Mr. Esteban Oriol.
Yeah.
And we have that documentary. You guys tune in to Netflix on Friday at 8 p.m.
Tomorrow.
And boss man, have a beautiful rest of your day, sir.
And to
thank
all
you,
of fellas.
You at home, remember, if nobody loves you, Bishop's got you.
That's a true story right there.
And we out.
We'll talk to you later, Cartoon. Thank you again, my brother, from the bottom of our hearts. Always much love to you and the family.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Take
Appreciate
care,
you guys.
David
Later.
Benga.